Hi, my name is Visu Sontam. I'm Principal Solution Architect in Telecom IBU, taking care of OSS BSS workload. Here we are going to discuss about AI-powered OSS BSS modernization and migrations and how we can do agentic AI-driven migration. This demo is done in collaboration with Infosys. Why AI-powered OSS BSS modernization matters? As you know, there are multiple telecom operators, they are holding back because they are not able to modernize their applications due to various reasons. One, it could be the history shows that modernization projects takes years with no proper outcomes. So they do not have proper documentation, and also sometimes these systems cannot afford downtime. But at the same time, technical debt is increasing. Most of the frameworks are getting outdated. Because of that, they are not able to proceed. The innovation, but there are compelling business drivers for this modernization. The operational expenses will reduce drastically once this modernized, as well as you can have API first approach, cloud approach. So how AWS is helping here? With AWS Agentic AI services, we can make this transformation journey from years to months, and we can make sure that data, the business logic is preserved, and also if you want to modernize, you want to introduce more changes, we can do that, and data migration is also taken care for this. How we are doing this? Our framework consists of 4-phase approach. First phase, we are doing the assessment using AWS Transform Custom. We are going to do a reverse engineering of existing code. Then we will modernize using Kiro Agentic AI, Agentic IDE, and then we will migrate the data using DMS, as well as we can migrate the instances using existing models. And once migrated to AWS, operations and observability is provided with the existing tools we have. Okay, here Infosys can provide a end-to-end approach of advisory, consulting, modernization, development, all the things Infosys can provide that. Now let's talk about what is the end-to-end journey. Okay, so AWS Transform can point to your existing Git repository. It can identify what are the existing integration interfaces, what are the northbound interfaces, what are the southbound interfaces. Even if there is no documentation, it will generate all the documentation. It will generate the documentation. It will generate the functional requirements, and to certain extent non-functional requirements, a database analysis. And once all the specs are created, you can move to the next phase of forward engineering using Kiro. From the specs, you can modify the specs. With a human in the loop, you can modify the specs and create a code generation. And that code generation will be having modernized code and as well as infrastructure as code, which can be deployed into AWS cloud. At the same time, we can also modernize the existing databases to purpose-built databases such as Amazon Aurora. And once it is the case, you can deploy and test in AWS. At this stage, I will pass on to my partner and colleague, Vishnu Panda from Infosys.
Hi everyone, thanks for the opportunity, Vishu. And I am Vishnu. I am a principal technology architect at Infosys. And we partnered with AWS to build this demo for showing AWS Transform as well as AWS Kiro. And this is where we have taken JWilling as one of the applications which is built on very legacy code. It is built on Grails, it is built on Java 6, which is a perfect candidate for doing a migration and modernization. We also have taken Suite CRM, which is built on PHP and a monolithic application. Both the applications are a BSS application which we need to modernize. And we have used AWS Transform to generate the specs, as Vishu has explained. We have also used Kiro to build the application again, using the specs as an input, and then building it and then deploying it into the AWS environment over here. I'll now pass it on to my colleague and friend Gokul. He will be explaining the demo and then taking you to the rest of the demo.
Hello, I'm Gokul, a principal solutions architect specifically focusing on enterprise application and modernization for our telcos here at AWS. So, as my colleagues have explained the theory, now let us delve deep into a technical demo which shows the same process that has been introduced by my colleagues. So this is the AWS Transform, where AWS Transform has two different modes. The first mode is where AWS provides all the prescriptive workflows which can be used by customers directly to migrate and modernize. And the second version that what we have recently released was AWS Transform Custom, where the customization can be user defined so that the users will be providing the context to the agents so that it can act upon the target code in a specific way as desired by the users. So this is where AWS Transform works. So it is a terminal-based tool that gets authenticated directly to the AWS using the Identity Center, where you can completely analyze your existing legacy code base, where the agents work hand in hand together to go and analyze the whole code base and provide you the artifacts and summary of all the analysis. So then we'll move on to the next phase, which is the Kiro. What Kiro does is wherever you have used transform to get the output of the analysis, that becomes the input for the next tool, that is Kiro. So with Kiro, without having to touch your code, you can use the human language to directly chat with the code to understand what has been taken into consideration for modernization, which is a kind of reverse engineering, where you could go and see what all has been modernized or what all has been proposed to be modernized. Or the second part is forward engineering, where you can directly use the agentic IDE to talk to the code and also drive your spec-driven development with Kiro. So this is where Kiro stands out from a lot of different agentic IDEs, where the spec-driven workflow is one of the greatest addition that what we made with Kiro. So as you can see here, you can create a spec defining what you want to achieve in a natural language, and automatically Kiro will be taking care of creating the specs and also the required task list and the design implementation, so that you are completely being informed with what is being done rather than doing everything at one stretch without revealing what has been done in the whole process. So with Kiro, here in this particular example, we have completely modernized a JBilling application, which uses very legacy PHP code to the latest Angular version. As you can see, this is a fully working dashboard that has been modernized by Kiro, which can be directly used by the customers without having to spend months in migrating their legacy code base. Lastly, I would like to explain or cover the landscape at a high level. As you have seen, we have used AWS Transform for assessment of code, and also you could use AWS Transform for modernizing the code. The second part is Kiro. Kiro is the agentic IDE which is providing the capabilities like reverse engineering, forward engineering, and even the development on what has been modernized. The last one is also important in terms of BSS. It's not just about the application, but data has to move together with the application to the target entity. So that is where our existing service portfolio, like DMS, which is data migration service, and also other migration services portfolio, helps the users to get their data sources from legacy engines to the latest implementations. So thank you. Thanks a lot.